98.9 Northwest FM. This is Car Talk with Matty J. Another Tuesday night. More car-related topics as per usual. Tomorrow's the big day, eh, James?
Oh, yeah.
It's the fate of the furious.
You betrayed the family.
Family, Dom. Family. In case you want to hear who that is James from Man vs. Movies. He was on earlier, on the hour before me. And we're also joined by Nathan. What's going on, man?
Yeah, not much.
Not much? Just sticking around?
Just sticking around. You going to play the Fast and the Furious drinking game?
Was that when
every time they said family?
Yeah.
You'd be dead in the first minute.
Well, you'd have to have Coronas because it's it's tradition. You can have any beer you want
as long as
it's Corona. That'll be it's gonna be exciting because every time a Fast and Furious movie happens,
get all the boys together.
It's a boys' time. Like, I made my my fiance sit down and watch all of them.
Oh, jeez.
What's
the verdict?
Is the wedding off?
Yeah, is the wedding off? She well, this is going back a few years ago when just before the last one came out, and she's like to me, no, it's before 6 came out, and she's like, I was like to her, I'll let you come and watch this one.
Yeah.
If you watch them all, otherwise you're going to sit there and be like, what the hell is this? She's like, all right. So she spent a whole day. She had a day off, and she watched them all. I gave her my copies of it, and she watched it all. And I'm like, what did you think? Well, she's like, the first one was good. The rest kind of sucked until number 5. She's like, 5 was really good. She's like, I enjoyed 5. And then
I like her.
Yeah. And then we watched 6. And she's like, 6 was pretty good. And then she watched 7. She's like, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah, that's pretty much the same as our assessment, I think.
So
she's good on.
Yeah, I know. She's yeah. So she kind of picked up the right kind of ones, but yeah. So she's like, I don't know why. There's a whole bunch of things, but we'll get into that later. We'll save that for the 2-hour special when I get back in a couple of
April
weeks.
25th.
April 25th.
Anzac Day, also known as Fast and Furious Day.
Yep.
Well, from now on, it will be
for every week from here on in. It's going to be, or every year, it's going to be. It's going to be Fast and Furious Day as well. But yeah, tomorrow's the big day. So,
not to take away from all the people who gave their lives during the war, but
definitely not. It's going to be just the day we talk about Fast and Furious.
It's going to be like 2 hours of quotes, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean, no crust. What you put in that sandwich? Real funny, Joe. It's just going to be like a quote fest, because I don't know about you guys, but I can pretty much say the whole first movie off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much from start to finish, we know every line. Just basically, we can just quote the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
from start to finish. Which, I mean, I'm sure pretty much the first hour of the show will probably just be the first movie. And then we'll be like, oh yeah, and there were some other ones too. And there were 7 other ones as well.
And there'll be another 2 after this. Don't worry. But look, we're going to get to a quick break. James and Blake will be joining us very shortly as well. James from Established. We're going to go to our first break of the night. We're going to go to a song by Tech Nine. You guys like Tech Nine?
Yeah.
Tech Nine's killer. This song's called "Am I a Psycho?" It features B.O.B. and Hobson. It's the clean version, obviously.
We like Hobson.
We do love a bit of hop. So this is Tech Nine with "Am I a Psycho?" Car Talk 98.9 Northwest FM. This is Matty J. Now joining the studio with James from Established and Blake. What's going on, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
And of course we've still got James sticking around for Man vs. Movies. As we were talking about just before the song. So in case you wondering who that was Tech Nine featuring B.O.B. and Hobson. Am I a Psycho? Cool track.
Is he?
I think he is because he's pretty crazy. Tech Nine's pretty nuts, but
why else would you get a name Tech Nine?
Yeah, with a 9 spelled in the name. Big ups to Tech Nine. He's rocking an independent and he's doing good things. So, Fast and Furious: The Fate of the Furious comes out tomorrow. We're going to be obviously having a 2-hour special as in a couple of weeks once I get back, because I'm going on a holiday for uni break next week, so I can not see any of you guys.
Unwind, as they
Man,
say.
you knew Fast and Furious coming out, and you're still going
man.
away.
I know. It's you know what it is.
I'm
it's
sure there'll be
it's
a cinema where you go.
no. Well, I'm seeing it tomorrow, but I'm leaving on
He's seeing it, and then he's leaving, so we can't talk
Can't
about
talk
it
about
next
the
week.
week after.
And then next week after, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, so it's poor form on my behalf, which and James was shaking his head behind Mike here.
You're out of the family.
I'm out of the family. I might have to buy a slab of Coronas and try to get back in.
Out of the family. Toretto's going to be out of the family. What's going on here, man?
I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on. But look, it's got me thinking how much the Fast and Furious, like I guess, franchise has done for car culture and car communities. Because like a lot of people who've gotten into cars have pretty much gotten into cars because of the Fast and Furious. So I don't know if about you guys.
Well, if people have listened to the show before, they know I'm a movie buff. But when it comes to cars, I don't really know anything. So everything I know about cars is either from you or from the Fast and Furious movies. So Fast and Furious came out right at the time where everyone at school was getting into cars. Especially like the technical aspects and the how to do them up and stuff, soup them up. So for me, like that's basically how I know from movies is how I know cars.
Yeah.
So Fast and Furious is obviously a very important part of that.
Definitely, and like when they especially in the first one they're talking about car parts, like they're doing the prayer and they're doing like ball bearings, ceramic turbos and stuff like that.
Praying to the car
Praying
gods,
to the
man.
car cards, man. Like
Titanium valve.
titanium valve springs. It was good because like a lot of those parts, like when people wouldn't even know what the hell they mean, and they could have went, okay, well, what's a titanium valve spring? What's a turbocharger?
We'll probably talk about this at length in a couple of weeks, but there's a scene in the first movie where Brian goes into the auto parts shop, and he's like walking past, and there's like, I think they're mufflers. I can't remember, and I honestly don't know what mufflers look like, but I know what they look like. But anyway, and they're all like hanging in the shop. They're like the silver, hanging in the window, and there's like all the parts. And he's like to the guy, he's like, "Yo, have you got the parts?" And like I have no idea what they're talking about, but I love it. Like I love all that, and I think that's one of the newer movies have lost that. It's that kind of like working on your car in the driveway. Was what the first movie was about, and now they're about submarines.
I think he's talking about when Hector visits Harry's.
It might be.
I think that's what you're talking about, when they all roll up in the Civics.
Yeah, there's that bit, but I think there's a bit with Paul
right
Walker
at the start,
as well.
he's like, I need NAS. I need to buy tonight.
Yeah, it's that bit, yeah. But yeah, both
Car
bits.
dropped out about 240 miles per hour. That's
I heard you white guys book fast. That's the best line. But yeah, look, because at the time, I mean, we look back now especially from the first film, and a car that's modified in the first film is kind of considered pretty ricey these days. But back at the time, that was like the most dopest thing out. Like and it was like
everyone wanted a Supra after that movie.
Yeah,
came out.
everyone, dude, I still want a Supra after that movie. I want a green Eclipse. With like enough NOS to blow myself up.
I want a Civic with neons, man.
I was sad to find out that people don't take Civics seriously, because the Civics at the start of the movie with the green neons.
Killer.
I always wanted one of those.
That's what the movie's about.
Yeah.
Stealing or boosting DVD players to sell and buy car parts. I mean, those Civics make the movie.
Well, they do. But see, like, I guess it's kind of come from that because like everyone just put a fart can on a Civic, that they've become like the butt joke of every car enthusiast. And
Sure.
which is, it's kind of sad for the Civic. Like, my partner's got a Civic, and I feel embarrassed because of that reason. But in the grand scheme of things, a Civic is like, especially like a Type R, is a really
cool car.
Really good car.
EK Civics are mad.
Yeah, definitely. And it's
Especially if you're on a ball on a budget.
yeah, like just Vita kicked in, and you'll be just slam the suspension. You'll be going under trucks. Actually, we don't advise that here on because those trucks were modified,
Raised,
yes, to be able to fit those Civics. But no, definitely like I've always been into cars since I could like talk and walk, and it's just like for us car enthusiasts, we never really had any movies that really kind of like there were movies here and there.
There are always car chase movies.
Yes.
There are always action movies with car chases.
legendary chases and whatnot.
But how many movies are about
cars?
Cars.
It's only evolved from the Fast and the Furious like saga. Like the Fast and the Furious saga made the cars on screen, made the topic of being and having cars or driving cars, and then for instance you got like the Need for Speed movie, which wasn't the best, but still.
The
Need
car
for Speed
chases were
movie.
really good in that,
The
though.
car chases were good. I mean, the only reason I don't like it is because they write off a fake Agera R, but still, the thought of writing off a Koenigsegg Agera R,
Yeah.
you know,
It breaks
You,
out.
you
Like,
couldn't forgive him for that.
dude, you keep telling me, James, that when your dad always sees the Aston Martin get blown up
Oh,
he's like, why?
He
Why is
hates
this
it.
happening?
Every time in James Bond when the Aston Martin gets trashed,
or rolled, or
he's just
whatever.
like, no. When in in Spectre,
Yeah.
he gets the brand new prototype.
DB11, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he sinks it.
And, you know, he drives it for like 5 minutes, not even,
Batista's chasing.
and he sinks it in the bloody river. And in the cinema, my dad was just like, no. He hates it. He can't he can't get over that in the movie. He'll just be
George
mad for the.
Costanza.
You know in movies where someone kills the dog and people will be like, no, I can't.
John
do with
Wick.
it. Yeah, but
that's why everyone hates John Wick for that reason. Like,
well, everyone loves John Wick, but they hate
that scene,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah. No, but there are some people who see the dog dying and they're like, no, I can't watch the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
My dad's like that with
Cars.
Aston Martin. He's like,
Feel
as soon as
like
they blow up the Aston Martin, he's like,
There's
I
no
don't like
point.
this. I don't like this movie anymore.
Has this turned into your show?
Yeah. Well, Matt.
dude,
This is
Matt,
excellent.
Matt made the mistake of bringing up Fast and Furious, which is the only thing I know about cars.
All good, all good.
that's not necessarily true. Look, you know, we'll get back on topic because for a lot of people, they relate, like example you, James, they relate to cars through Fast and Furious.
100%.
Yeah.
And what it's done for the car scene here, especially looking back now, if we were to go back 10 years ago to say to the auto salon scene, which you came with me to a few auto salons back in the
Yeah.
day, those cars like the Fast and Furious, I guess the Fast and the Riser style, what people call it, was still kind of in the moment, like the sex spec and all those sort of cars were still around.
Like nice leather seats, restitched. Like you'd spend like big money on the interior,
Interiors, yeah.
sound systems,
Chrome wheels, stuff
and
like that.
the car was a shopping cart. But like seriously, the amount of money they poured into them, like Excels that had
Excels.
Excels that had Excel, or even those Lancers that were built to look like Evos that still exist to this day.
Too Sexy is an example from Monte Carlo.
Exactly, Too Sexy. And they had like dashes with snake eyes and stuff. It was like
It was part of the scene, though.
I know,
and that's how it
100%.
was. Like, back then, people just going ham. Like, they were going absolutely insane with their cars. And it was, and looking back now, if I still see one, like, you do, and you still see them around, they're pretty hammered these days. From that, that era of car modification, which was kind of like the whole Fast and Furious,
Body kits.
Jap cars were starting to get really big, like for performance wise. So like aftermarket was huge for them. Altelza lights, this, that, and the other. And a lot of it came from where people were working from watching the Fast and Furious, playing like I guess the Need for Speed Underground was like a massive impact for me, especially because like that came straight after
GTA and Need for Speed and games like that, Gran Turismo.
We Can Modify.
I mean, isn't Ja Rule playing Gran Turismo in the first movie?
Ja Rule.
not
Is it Ja Rule?
No, it's I think one of the Asian guys when in the first
Yeah.
race.
It's
The Asian guys playing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Gran
I think it's
Turismo
Gran
on a
Turismo.
It's
PS2.
original Gran Turismo.
And
Yeah.
that was the style, like playing
PS1
PlayStation
man.
or PS1,
yeah.
playing PlayStation in a car.
That was cool.
That's
That was like a new thing in
that was the style,
2001.
like,
That was
putting-
like
putting video screens.
Pimp My
in.
Ride was on TV at that time.
Exactly. Right. People
Yeah.
going ham with that.
So it's kind of like that. The movie came at the right time.
Yeah, that guy from the movie was playing the PlayStation. He's actually a really famous car tuner.
Tuner or drifter?
Tuner.
Okay.
He's super famous. I
Fair enough.
forgot his name. But yeah,
Yeah, they've got little perks like that in the movie. Like,
yeah. He was a full, like, he's a Honda guy. Like he's a crazy modifier. Like
I think we should find all of the little Easter eggs in Fast and the Furious, like in terms of the casting.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
instance, like those drifters that were in the last movie, and
Yeah.
like for instance, Tokyo Drift, where
The old guy.
the old
Yeah,
guy
that's
sitting
like-
there fishing
that's
is basically the
Tsuchiya.
Drift King.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with
a
his
lot
friend,
of
so-
a lot of the technical advisors, like who work on the cars and drive the stunt drivers, like have cameos in the film and stuff. They did that on a lot of movies.
That's pretty cool. Like to
Yeah.
be honest, like that Drift one, I didn't find out until like
Yeah,
watching it
Matt
the
told me
second
that.
or third time, and I was
He's the
like,
Drift King.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's him.
Yeah,
Like,
it's-
it's like, how is he commenting on this? Like, he's just fishing, and then I'm looking at him, and I'm like, hey, that's
doing
the
it
Drift
together.
King. I'm
It's
like,
the Drift
wow. that was really impressive.
It's crazy. Like stuff like that really gets me going because they've you know, from the outside, from the actual real car culture.
Yeah.
You know, they're bringing it back in. So like they're giving it kind of like a home feel, which is good. Which is what the kind of last ones have been missing. But then again, the last ones have been going to like sort of a heist. They've reinvigorated the series. Don't get me wrong.
They've made it like more of an action series to probably blow up their box office, basically, more than keeping it like, oh, fine, it's about family. There's sentimental value there. But since the first and second movie, I think Tokyo Drift after that started dying, seriously.
Yeah, the fourth movie you could definitely see, you know, was going into like a cop thriller action sort of
going
thing.
through those tunnels, come on.
And the fifth movie was like fully reinvented the series as like a action heist, and now it's gone like full ham, just like it's like almost Die Another Day levels of James Bond type. Like it's like, what country are you going to now? You know, what vehicles are we blowing up now?
We're going to the snow. We're going to take over a satellite.
Yeah, basically that.
They should come to Australia, drink some VB, drive a Como.
They haven't been to Australia.
They haven't been to Australia.
No, there was a petition on Facebook to bring them to Australia.
They definitely should.
They should.
And it had like a VL turbo where drifting under the Charger flipping.
At the first, yeah.
Oh man, that would be good.
It's so good. But look, getting back on how much it's impacted the car culture. I think for every person can relate to the Fast and Furious series, especially being a car guy, because like the last few movies when I always go and see them. It's tradition. I always go see the Fast and Furious no matter what at the cinemas, and people that aren't even into cars, like they get their car fix from that, and they can say, oh, you know, I like that green car, or I like that blue car, which is like for example, the blue car was
the Escort. It was my favorite car.
Yeah,
almost probably in the series.
Definitely, it's up there.
Maybe
it's up there. And like you can then people can understand. They can learn about cars.
Also,
like, you learn about
that's how I knew about the Escort. I knew about Rally.
Yeah.
But when you see the blue one with the roll cage and the fog lamps,
that's sick.
Like I was just like, I love it.
Yeah.
And especially because it's utilized in such a cool way. Like that's where I get my car fix. You're right.
And the people who aren't fully into the car scene, that's where they get their car fix from. And that's where they can relate. They can put two and two together, which can help like kind of bridge the gap or between enthusiasts and like normal people. Because well, we're all normal people, but like because. Especially in Australia, car people get a real bad rap, and it's like, you know, we get we cop it here in terms of like, you know, you're all hoons, this, that, and the other.
That's the thing, is like people say, oh, you know, people who car enthusiasts are hoons, people who like Fast and Furious are hoons, but I know people who don't have their license and who probably won't get their license anytime soon. Not, you know, they don't have a license not because they're young, but because they don't want to get their license. Who love Fast and Furious, they love cars.
Yep.
It's just. They're not hoons. Like that's a stupid thing to say.
Yeah, and it's just, I guess it's the whole premise behind it. But you know, I've been checking on Facebook and stuff recently, and like there's all these car communities have like organised like to go to the drive-ins together to watch the Fast and Furious. You know, it brings the car community brings people together, and this movie
makes people family.
Yeah, family, and especially with the Fast and Furious series, it really does that. And you know, it's going to be interesting because I'm kind of like dying. I'm chomping at the bit to watch it tomorrow. Because we're going to watch it tomorrow, but it's going to be good. And you're just going to have to wait and see the review in a couple of weeks' time, which is going to be good. So we're going to be doing a 2-hour crossover special, which will be the first time we've done that, James. It's going to be kind of dope.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a long time, and we said when this movie comes out, we'll do it. So it'll be a lot of fun.
So we won't give any more away for that because it's coming up. So we'll get off the Fast and Furious because we're going to have to talk about for 2 hours in a couple of weeks. But we'll move along. So Blake's come in with your carputer.
Yeah. So basically, what we finished doing not long ago, like before we came in, we were working on my carputer where we were installing the main operating system that we'd be running it off. So it's basically going to be the head unit of the car, and we basically took a Raspberry Pi and then got a base operating system, and then we're going to reprogram it. So we've got the base operating system on it, and we've built it into a case with a touchscreen and everything.
Cool.
But yeah, so all we got left is really to install it in the car, install a rear view camera,
That can all be done?
things to do with it. Yep, it can be done.
So is it the exact size of like a double din?
Sorry?
Is it a double din size?
So it's a 7-inch screen, I believe. The surrounds are a bit bigger than a double din, but if it sticks out a little bit, it shouldn't be an issue if we get it in that. What I did suggest was, do you know how in my MPS it has that little pop-up
Yeah,
screen?
you can just pop it up there.
That's what I was going to do. I was
Cool.
going to swap up that top section with him, get a standard one,
Yeah.
and have it so maybe it can come up and down from there if it fits. Otherwise, we'll try and cleanly modify it to work.
Yeah, you definitely make that work. It'll be pretty cool, like being up on the top as well. Are you still going to be able to have your hand control functionality? That's the next because I know you can with aftermarket head units, but with this, I'm not too sure.
So we're keeping in the original head unit so that we can do the tuner and everything, because that's a bit hard to run with the actual computer.
So are you going to run this as like an AUX kind of thing?
Yeah, so we're going to
Okay.
run this into the auxiliary port of the actual normal head unit, and then we're going to replace the auxiliary port with a USB port, so that we can plug in hard drives and shit with DVDs, so that we can put in optical drives, DVDs, so through the optical drive, hard drives, stuff like that, USBs,
Cool.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's the current plan. The future plan is to get it a fully functional Raspberry Pi head unit.
Cool.
So there's no head unit at all. And so
So the head unit becomes that.
That yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So in terms of functionality, is it so it's all touchscreen? Like it's cool. We're looking at it right now live in the studio. Yeah, it's really cool. So that's running Linux and everything, and that's
Yeah,
So as an
so
example, we could like plug in USB. It's got some media on it.
so it's got like USB port and everything as well. That's pretty
Yep.
cool. And it should all pop up like yeah. So what made you get down this route? Like something different or?
so we're doing a programming course for uni, well, software programming based course, and I sort of wanted to do something that would sort of like get me in, so like I could sort of use this
Yeah.
as experience and stuff. And I was looking at a new head unit because mine's kind of dead. The actual discs don't come out and everything,
Okay,
so it's
fair enough.
screwed
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of that. So I was looking at new head units, and I was thinking about it. Raspberry Pi costs about the same amount. Fun little project.
Yeah.
Use it for experience for down career wise, and yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can't wait to see the end product. Well, I'm not posting pictures up on our Facebook page, and you can tell people the specs and how to do it.
Absolutely.
It'll be a cool DIY little project. Look, we're going to get to our next break. We'll be right back after this. We're going to go to a song, a little teaser song, because we're going to be playing all Fast and Furious based music in a couple of weeks. But this is one of my favourite songs from the first one. This is called Deep Enough. So we'll see you on the other side of this. What was that's live with Deep Enough. Yeah, thanks guys. That's really doing good for my self confidence right now. So moving on a little bit. The bit of an update on the Merc. So everyone's favourite car. I've got clear lights on the front now, so it's a bit more modernised. It's actually looking really good now.
Clear lights. What colour before?
There was amber. The indicator.
Oh, right. Yeah, nice.
So it's kind of brings it to like the 21st century, even though it's still got a retro 80s look. But you know what? You know what's cool about it is that everyone kind of likes it, and it's weird because like usually you get
It's nice.
Yeah, well, it's like a nice car, but people who come up to me, like for example, who know cars and like like mechanics. Like I took it to my mechanics, and I took it to the other mechanic I go to with my mother. She works. And the mechanic's like, oh, this car is like these ones were stupidly over-engineered. This is when you bought a Mercedes Benz, you bought one of these. This was
a tank.
Yeah, a tank. They were that over-engineered that
Everyone knows that, like German engineering. It's like a saying.
Yeah.
So I think everyone sees it and goes, "Wow, that's really nice." It's the same with like old BMWs and
Exactly.
and stuff like that.
So, but he was telling me, in comparison, a lot the newer Mercedes have got like nothing compared to like quality control and stuff over the older Mercs, because he's like to me,
I can vouch for that.
yeah, and he's like these old Mercs. He's like, you're right, James. They were built like complete and utter tanks.
And I can tell you this for the fact, Dad had a 1998 W210 E320.
Yeah, lovely car. Yeah.
Very nice car. Anyway, he ended up selling it and buying a 2005 E350, so one step up, and it was the next shape up. Now, being in Dad's car going to work, we used to do highway runs, and highway, I mean like the Hume Highway,
Yeah.
up to Caltex Colcolo where he worked. And truck would get behind you, and you just put your foot flat to the floor. You wouldn't hear any engine noise, nothing. You just rock it and go, like straight up, 100%. No bounce on the road, no suspension feels, nothing. It was just like drives like a dream, basically. So it's like you're sitting on a cloud, basically. It's mad. Comes to the new one. As soon as you put your foot down, they make it more oriented. You can hear the motor a lot more. There's not as much deadening and whatnot. Yeah. And the suspension was horrible. Like
a lot more firm. A
lot more firm, but firm to a point where it's uncomfortable at times.
Which kind of defeats the purpose of a Merc.
And then we worked out that they cut down marketing costs. They changed the suspension setup in the front, and you could feel it with the turn in. You could feel it on the road. But hey, you got to cut costs to keep costs. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, from driving the old Merc, like that old Merc still drives like it drives fine today. It drives like a modern car. I kid you not. It's got independent rear suspension.
That's right.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy for its time. I was watching actually. I kind of got stuck on YouTube till about like 3 a.m. yesterday, just watching.
As happens with YouTube.
Yeah, well, you don't realize when you start at 7 o'clock and you end at 3.
Yeah.
But I was watching all videos about the W124, which is the
shape you got. Nice.
And I was watching like the engineering videos behind it, like like the stories about it. They classify it as, and I'm not blowing my own horn here, but the best Mercedes ever made, because it was that over-engineered to the point where it was just stupid. Yeah. And that's when like even the people that were interviewing, talking like having chats about it, like this is when a Mercedes was a Mercedes. It's like it was this stage of Mercedes engineering that they were just completely they went ham on everything, But they also made sure it all worked. Like their quality control was insane. I doubt they'd do half the stuff they did stuff they did then today.
Yeah.
Like they'd pull cars out of the line on the production line, and like they'd go through it everything to make sure it was perfect. And like I'm sure they still do that. There is quality control still, but like in comparison to back then and how overly engineered they were, it was insane. It blew me away. And I'm like, far out, and I got all this for nothing. But it's the little touches as well. Like I was watching them; they were explaining why the seat, because those old seats they're quite firm, but the car rides so nicely that they're to come through. It's so soft.
Yep.
So when you initially sit in the car, it's like it's a bit stiff, but when you're driving, the car it kind of conforms to you, and you can drive for hours, and you don't get worn out.
And that's what my dad said. As soon as you sit your ass in a Merc, you never go to another car, and you never feel that point until you actually drive a Merc.
Yeah, well, it's exactly
and you
right.
feel exactly what he's talking about.
And because you always told me that, and it wasn't until I drove this car, and I learned why the seats initially so firm, but they were orthopedically designed seats. This is back in like the 80s. They've done orthopedically designed seats in a car, and
I don't think I've heard that on any other car that I can think of.
It's crazy. They're like the reason why the seat's this position, and the reason why it's so firm, but the suspension's so forgiving, is because these are to give you good posture and to have less fatigue when you drive. I'm like, I've never heard of any other car company. Like I sit down and watch tons of documentaries here about cars. None of them really speak about that, and they're like, their reason for it, they want it's a safety feature. One, because they want to reduce driver fatigue, but two, they want you to drive after 6-7 hours, get out of the car and not have a sore back, and not be in like a race car or like anything else, and like after 20 minutes get out. The only other car that I've felt that kind of way is in a kind of like a Falcon seat. Like when we drove the Typhoon from Sydney back here, it was comfortable as.
Everyone said it was pretty nice.
It was pretty nice, but like in comparison, the Merc is just it's the same thing, and this is going back 20 years older. So it's
impressive. Yeah, I've never heard of that.
I freaked out. I was watching, as I said, all these documentaries, man. I freaked out. I was really astonished that back then in the 80s, Mercedes was that far ahead of the game, and it utterly blew me away.
It helped with probably not only comfort and with driver fatigue, but probably just head checks and looking in the rearview mirror. Like you don't have to worry about your posture.
Yeah, because sometimes you're in the right spot.
Sometimes in my car, and it's you know, it's kind of, it's not low, but it's a small car, and like I've put the mirror in the position I want, and you know, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, why is my head in the mirror? Like I've clearly pushed the mirror to the point where it's where I'm supposed to be. But, you know, if your seat's always if your back's always in the right position and you're not slumping or moving or whatever,
You're not going to move.
you know, it's going to be better, easier to drive, easier to do head checks and stuff like that.
Definitely. Also, I was watching a video on there, because like the S-Class, like everyone knows that if you buy a Mercedes S-Class, the technology you get in an S-Class today will be in your standard car in about 10 years' time. That's how far.
Some crazy shit there.
Yeah, that's how far ahead the S-Class is. And I was watching the S-Class from around the same time as you know, the W124, so late 80s, early 90s. And just the tech in it was insane. Like, there's a button here, you can control your rear view mirror, massage your seats. It utterly blew me away. And, you know, I'm like, fire. Like, yeah, I mean, the S-Class was the first car to have an airbag, you know, standard.
And
First car to have ABS.
That's basically what they based like the GS or the Lexus series on.
Yeah.
Like the LS and is the S-Class of the Mercs, of the Lexus.
Yeah.
And you got like the GS, which is like the E-Class, which is like the fatter Merc. And then obviously the C-Class, which is the more the performance.
Well,
coupe-based is OS.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Lexus because the LS400 of the late 80s was equally, if not better, because that's what they benchmarked it upon the S-Class.
Basically, folding mirrors were standard. You had this little thing that opens down, and it's like a whole bunch of settings that you can adjust to everything.
They're a fantastic car, the old LS400.
They sound great too.
Yeah, that full liter 1UZV, it's a marvelous engine. It's
still used till today.
Oh,
same platform.
Same platform. It's actually a masterpiece, that engine. It was that was Lexus at the time. The only other car company besides Mercedes of that era that were just going ham was Lexus.
Lexus, yeah.
Excuse my ignorance. What country does Lexus originate? Is it Germany?
No, it's Japanese.
It's Japan. So it's basically it's a sub-product of Toyota. It's basically imagine Toyota's. Imagine Japan's
luxury,
Mercedes.
Yeah, like luxury.
That's the easiest way to put it, I guess.
It's Japan's. It's Japan's Mercedes.
Japan's answer to Mercedes.
I always thought it was European.
Yeah, I mean,
they do have like that Euro styling thing because it is answering to the Euro King sort of thing.
So that's kind of where they come in. But yeah, back in '89 when the LS400 was released, it had even more crazy tech back then. It was either
heated seats.
It was insane. I mean, and these were in cars back in the '80s, you know. So, but like if you look up today, you'll still see tons of these cars on the road. I kid you not, you will see tons of these cars on the road because mechanically wise, they were that over-enginered that they would just keep going.
They'd last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, I mean, Matt Farah's got a 1 million mile Lexus LS400. Yeah. It's got 980,000 miles, and that's miles.
How is that even possible?
On the original engine, and it just had a transmission rebuild because
bands and whatnot.
Because Lexus, that's why.
Because Toyota builds stuff bulletproof, and Lexus is like their development. Like if you really look it up, the development of Toyota is most likely Lexus, and then Toyota is like their sort of like test bench. So to speak, or family consumer car, and then you got all the performance and everything in the Lexus side of things.
Yeah, well, and if you're thinking about it as well, you know, when Mercedes like kind of dropped off, like quality wise in the early 2000s, especially because the early 2000 cars have they're quite unreliable and they kind of really hurt the Mercedes name. Like I'd
say as soon as like compressors started coming out, that's when it started dropped off.
I heard I was reading a documentary. I was reading something on the internet, and the boss of Mercedes had said we need to go back to the quality of the 80s that we had.
Yep.
And that's
pretty nuts.
That's pretty crazy. He's like the quality control and like the build quality of everything was just to the highest of Germanic standards ever.
Yeah.
To say that
we have to go back to the older standards in order to
back to go to the future.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
I'm saying that's how crazily over-engineered those old Mercs were, and it's only Lexus that's got that consistent build quality, and no other car company has done it, and it's really it's really kind of shocking, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Look, it's about time for the quiz. Are you, James, down for the quiz?
Again.
Again? Well, it's a yes or no question. I'm going to give it to you anyway. You've got no choice about it. I think you,
Not me.
Well, this is the famous CarTorque car quiz.
Oh, let's do it. Probably get like one this time.
Don't beat yourself
If
up.
it's about Fast and Furious, I might know it.
Question 1.
You get music.
Sorry?
You get music.
Yeah, man, of course got the music on. There you go. Question 1. The Mercedes 500E was built in conjunction with what company?
500E.
Yeah, so W124 shape, so same shape as mine.
Oh,
This was like kind of the beginning of like Mercedes venture into performance sedans. We can pass and you can come back.
No, we'll come back.
Question 2. The BMW M1, the old original sports car, like the more supercar it was trying to be, had how many cylinders?
So the M1, you'd think it'd be like small, four-banger, but I'm leaning towards an 8. Straight 6.
It's a straight 6, yeah, it's a straight 6. Question 3. What was the location of the M1's engine?
Wait, the M1 was built on a hatch platform?
No, the original M1 back in the 70s.
Like an E30 shape.
It's like a wedge shape. It's a,
M1 is what, like based on like a 2000 and...
no, it's its own car. It's like a proper sports car.
Okay. I'm gonna say front engine rear wheel drive.
Nah, it's a mid-engine
Mid-engine rear wheel drive.
rear, yeah.
Damn.
Question 4. True or false? The original HSV GTSR had the option of a blueprinted engine.
Yeah, I'm gonna true.
Yeah, it is true.
Try and sell more.
Question 5. The 2JZ FSE was different to the standard 2JZ GE and GTE due to it being what?
Supercharged.
No.
No?
No. I'll give you another hint because this is a hard one.
Can you give me a hint?
No, I'll give you another go.
Okay.
Well, I'm not that nice.
I was going to say, hints, that doesn't sound like you.
No, it's not me at all.
FSE.
To the 2JZ FSE was different to the 2JZ GE or GTE. In
So
what-
the other
in
ones
what-
were turboed, and one was non-turbo.
GE was on turbo, GTE was turbo.
Yes.
The FSE had some difference. I'll give you a hint. Your car has the same kind of. I
just give him the answer.
I can't because
Direct
No,
injection?
it's direct injection. That's correct. Yeah.
So you like, yeah, no.
I gave you a hint.
Yeah, you gave him too much away. Don't give him anything else.
Car, it's just direct injection or four-banger, and it's not a four-banger. So
Question 6. A Crown Victoria is most commonly associated with what?
Crown Victoria.
Yeah.
I know this
Is
one.
it what car type or
Yeah. Well, it's a Crown Victoria is a top car. What's the most commonly used, like associated with?
VIP?
Not really.
It is a VIP car though.
It is a VIP car, but it's in America. What's it most commonly used for?
Cop car.
It is a cop car. That's correct. Question 7. A Mazda Cosmo has what type of engine?
13B.
13B. That's correct. Question 8. The FPV GTF was the last GT made by full performance vehicles. What did the F stand for?
It's gonna be something stupid. I don't think it's force because it's an 8-cylinder.
You can pass or come back.
It's like furious or fast, something like that. No?
Do you want to pick one or just put a guess?
Is it one of them though?
No, it's not.
I'm gonna pass.
Alright. Question 9. The Suzuki Swift GTI, the original one, had what size engine?
2-liter.
Nah, 1.3.
Dude,
Yeah, 1.3 twin cam, yeah.
far out.
Question 10. The Mercedes SLS has how much power? And look, I won't be a dick like I was last time and say you're one
Kilowatts or
of
horsepower.
kilowatts. If you get in the same ballpark, I'll give it to you. Because this is an easy one.
Is it like the 400 kilowatt range?
It's in the 400 kilowatt range. Give me a hint. What was it? Give me something. Is it below 450 or higher than 450?
I reckon it's like around the 430 mark.
You're right. It's 420. I'll give you that.
420.
I'll give you that. Question 1. The Mercedes 500e was built in conjunction with what car company?
Can you give me a region?
Germany.
Porsche?
Yeah, it was Porsche. I gave you the answer. The GTF was the last GT made by FEV. What did the F stand for?
I suck at these Ford questions, man.
Did you hang around me enough, man?
I know,
You should know.
What's the F in FPV stand for?
Ford, but that's not what it stands for.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to stuff it up.
Just take a punt. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right.
Oof, this is a deal breaker.
But you got 8.5 last week. So
it's not Fast or Furious.
well, no, James, it's not.
So it's never going to be in the movies. It's not fastidious.
You're just saying words now. What is it, James?
I'm just trying to think of something with an F. Fear?
No, final. It was the last
Final?
GT. The last GT. The final. It's a 7 out of 10, James.
Man, I gotta remember that for now.
You're never gonna forget that, James. That's the bigger thing.
Alright, easy. 7 out of 10, I'm happy with that.
You'll take that. Look, we're gonna go to our last song of the night. We're gonna go to a song by Duck Sauce. You guys know Duck Sauce? They did was it
Barbra Streisand. Yep.
We're gonna go to a song. I was playing. Oh, jeez, what's it called now?
Planogram.
I was playing. Not even speaking. I completely forgot the game. Forza Horizon, and this is one of the songs I like. I forgot how good the song was. So this is energy. This is Duck Sauce with NRG. We'll be right back after this. We're back on 98.9 Northwest FM.
Alright. I think we should come back here
This
now.
is why Tuesday is the best
This
night.
is why Tuesday night's killer. It's the best night to
You
be
meant
on.
to be on Biohacker.
98.9 Northwest FM. This is CarTorque with Matty J. We're out of time tonight. We've had some good discussion. Had a few good laughs during the breaks and stuff. You know, I'm actually thinking about just putting like a full unedited version, just like with the breaks included, just to hear the crap we talk during the break.
Explicit content warning would have to be on there.
But yeah, look, this has been 98.9. This has been CarTorque on CarTorque Manager on 98.9 Northwest FM. Thanks guys for coming in. Thanks Blake for showing us the Raspberry Pi.
Very welcome.
We're gonna have to see some pictures, and you can do a build log when it's finished, and we'll check it up on the Facebook page, which is pretty cool.
So I'll do a short video rundown of how I put it together and everything, and then we'll talk about the operating systems we put in and how we install it. We'll probably do some videos while we're installing, and we'll upload some photos of the overall product.
Yeah, that'd be killer. Thanks James from Established for coming in again.
No worries, thanks for having me.
And in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be obviously talking and doing the Fast and Furious special. So if you want on that, James, you'll know you do.
Yeah, I've got dibs on that if you want to get out there.
Yeah, so you can be in for that. And obviously, Callum and Nathan in the background again for chipping in during the show and putting in some funny commentary. And of course, James from Airbus Movies. Thanks again
Thanks
for coming
having me on. Tune in next week for my show, 2-hour Harry Potter special, and then on Tuesday, April 25th, will be the 2-hour Man vs. Movies CarTorque Fast and Furious crossover special,
which would be really cool.
Crossover Twitter
for my speakers, man. But yeah, that'll definitely I'll start again. That'll definitely be cool. But yeah, definitely tune in for your show next week. It should be good. And if you've got any questions for us, send us a message on our Facebook page, CarTorque with Matty J. That's TORQUE. And if you've missed any of our episodes, we've always got them backed up on Shadow Engine. So just go to shadowengine.com, or even we're on iTunes now as well. So you can search us up on iTunes and get the podcast on there, which is really cool. So if you missed anything, give us a share, give us a like as well. I know, fancy. Moving up in the world, man. Shout Engineer. Now we're on iTunes as well. So give us a share and give us a like on Facebook, on our Facebook page. And share it around because we're all for the car community. So this has been Car Talk with Matty J. Thanks again for tuning in. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks because I'm away next week. I'm interstate. But I will see you guys then. So in the meantime, take it easy.